Hi everyone, I'm just starting with a real life example of this paragraph. So this is your counter argument paragraph, the third one that you are writing in your full Viewpoint piece. This is the article which I've already shown you for the anecdote. Just want to use it again to show you an example of almost a counter argument. It's not exactly how we would write it, but it's based on the same kind of idea. So they're going to argue that, we need to talk more, we need to have more conversations. But what they do here in this bit is they explain why that might be difficult. So obviously it takes more than a bit of small talk over garden fences to unite a nation, fragmented now by so much more than politics. More people live alone than did so a generation ago. We socialise through screens. So they give all these reasons, but then they go on to then explain why that. They then counter it here. So millennials may be endlessly accused of burying their heads in their phones, but they are also So they kind of give quite a lot of the counter argument, and then they go on to explain how these things have, they then go on to their argument, which is that people do want to spend more time together in real life. So that's the example, the real life example. Now we're going to go to some top tips. So we're going to go through the top tips for your counter-argument paragraph before going through an example answer that I'll write as you watch. So let's start with the top tips. So the first thing is never leave them with an opposing view. So what I mean by that is never finish the paragraph having said something different to what you think and not explained why it's wrong. You're always going to counter what they've said. And how we're going to do that is use sentence structures. So what we're going to do is subordinate. We're going to use subordinate clauses / connectives. So we're going to start sentences with words like whilst, despite the fact that, and although. And how we're going to do that is we're going to I'm just going to make it really clear here because I don't want people to get it wrong. So we'll give a connective, and then we give their view, and then we give our view, or my view. So you'll say something, well, I'm going to do some examples in a minute, but you'll say something like, whilst these people think this, I think this. You always use those sentence structures to even finish every sentence on what you think rather than what they think. Another tip is to spend more time, by time I mean, sentences, words, explaining your view. So if you feel like this section here is longer than this one, you're doing it wrong. You need to quickly skip past what they think and really explain what you think. So most of the paragraph is taken up by your ideas and your opinion, and therefore you're arguing why they're wrong. And then the next thing is to acknowledge, even if you don't agree, you're going to acknowledge who it is that thinks differently to you. So if if you're writing something about celebrities and you're saying celebrities are bad and that reality stars shouldn't be given so much money, you might acknowledge that like many TV companies or many brands feel that creating celebrities out of reality TV shows generates money and profit. So you've got to think about who's going to argue with you, who's not going to agree with what you're saying, and then you say who they are and what they think. So those are your top tips. So we'll move on to the paragraph now. So as I've said before, I'm using the example plan that I did in the second video, so it's this one here. So I've now done this one, I've done this one, I'm now on to my third paragraph, my homework against homework, but I'm saying why people might agree with it. So the couple of ideas that I have so far is the sixth form teachers or sixth form admissions people who invite people, well, accept people into sixth forms, and then I've got teachers. Okay, so I'll use those two definitely, but I might pull another one in if I feel like I need it. So let's start with sixth forms. Now remember that we're always trying to link our paragraphs together. So what did I end my research paragraph on? Homework impacts not only grades but every aspect of a teenager's life. So whilst sixth form admissions staff might argue that a positive impact, so there we go, I've used linking from that end of that last paragraph, a positive impact of homework is creating independent students. I strongly believe that the notion homework makes teenagers independent is a frankly, I want to say it's a lie basically, a frankly ridiculous and absurd lie. How are we making children independent by telling them what to do and know when to do it and how to do it. Little list of 3 in there, I love one of them, and a bit of persuasive writing and a rhetorical question. Fab. So I'm saying sixth form people think this, however that's absolutely ridiculous. How are we making students independent? By giving them things to do and telling them what to do and how to do it, which is what homework does. So I've used whilst there, so I'm going to so the other people I've got is teachers. So I'm going to say despite many teachers viewing homework as a strategy to develop revision So here I am making sure I'm going back to my view. The truth is that teenagers are unable to revise because they spend all their time completing futile, so futile is another word for pointless, futile and, I've said ridiculous, I've said absurd, futile and unimpactful, no. And I'm just going to get rid of that because I literally cannot think of another word. All their time completing futile tasks which don't support their future goal, their future progress. Okay, so what I'm saying is some people think this, however I think this, some people think this, however I think this. I need to just spend a little bit more time explaining what I mean by that. I'm going to do a nice short sentence because quite a lot of these are quite long, so revision is simply not the same as homework. What are you in short sentence? It has no impact. And then I'm just going to acknowledge those other people. So if sixth form staff and teachers want to create teenagers prepared for further study, they need to abolish homework and allow the teenagers to find their own ways. To study and be independent. Okay, there we go. That is the third paragraph done. So we've got one more video looking at the rhetorical challenge, which, as I said when I went through the plan, is one of the shorter paragraphs which will enable you to link everything you've done so far together.